Welcome back to my channel. What has God promised you and you're wondering if this is really going to come to pass? But I would like to I'd like to encourage you to carry on trusting, because our God is faithful and He keeps to His word, He keeps to His promises, and He does so precisely. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at how God fulfilled the promises He made to Abraham with regards to making of him a great nation, and also making him to be father of multitudes of nations. We have all of this recorded in the scriptures. So in the initial promise, we know is in chapter 12 of Genesis, where God says He's going to make of him a great nation. But by the time we get to chapter 16, we can see there that Abraham now has a child, Ishmael. And in chapter 17, God was having a conversation with Abraham. And Abraham said to God, "Bless Ishmael." But the Lord said, "No, don't worry. I will make him fruitful. I will multiply him exceedingly, that he will have 12 princes, and that he will make Ishmael to be a great nation." By the time we get to Genesis chapter 25, where we have a record of Abraham's death, he was 175 by the time he died. They put a record there of all the children and his grandchildren, and we can see the one for Ishmael there from verse 12 to 16. But I'll just read verse 16. It says, "And these are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names," from previous verse, "by their villages and by their encampments, 12 princes according to their tribe." So when I read it, I thought, well, see, this is God being confirmed, because He said to Abraham before that his son Ishmael is going to have 12 princes, and there it is recorded that Ishmael had 12 princes. So the Ishmaelites were already an established people even before Abraham died, from one of his sons. So I think we can tick the first box for God, saying that you've done that one. Then if we carry on in chapter 17, we know that God said to Abraham that He was going to change his name from Abraham to Abraham, because He's going to make him to be father of multitudes of nations. And then in chapter 21, we see that his wife that had been barren for a long time, eventually gave birth to Isaac. By chapter 25, we see that the Isaac was now a grown man and was married, and he had his wife Rebecca was pregnant. But Rebecca was having troubles with the pregnancy, so she went to inquire of the Lord. And I'm going to read. And it says, "And the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 people from within you." Further down the chapter, we know that Rebecca eventually gave birth to twin boys. One was named Esau, the elder, and the younger was Jacob. Now, these 2 boys became the patriarch of 2 nations that we know today, the Edomites and the Israelites. So Esau was the patriarch for the Edomites, and Jacob the patriarch for the Israelites. So far now we have seen 3 nations, the Israelites, the Edomites, and the Ishmaelites. The thing is that we are more familiar with the descendants of Israel, the descendants of Jacob, because most of the record we have in the Bible is about them. But it's not to say that Abraham did not have other children. And one of the things I found out is that maybe many people may not be familiar with this in scripture, that Abraham actually took another wife after Sarah died. And we can see a record of that in chapter 25, because there it says in verse 1, "Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah." And in that same chapter, verse 2, the names of the children that the woman bare is recorded, and there were 6 of them. Now, one of them is called Midian. If we remember that when Moses escaped from Egypt, he went to a land in the desert called the land of the Midianites, and one of the woman's children, Midian, is the patriarch of those people, the Midianites. So Moses took refuge in that land of the Midianites and eventually married one of the children of the man Jethro. And so Jethro became his father-in-law. So we can see again a fourth nation, a fourth group of people we can account for and link back to Abraham. It does not suggest that these are the only children or descendants that came from Abraham, because the woman Keturah had 6 children, and we're only talking about Midian here. So one thing that I thought may also support the fact that Abraham may have had other children is that in verse 6 it says, "But to the sons of his concubines, Abraham gave gifts, and while he was still living, he sent them away from his son Isaac eastward to the east country." I could not see any other record to names of children, but this may suggest that there were other children, which is going to add more credence to what we're saying about the fact that Abraham indeed became a father of many nations, because those children would also have gone their way and carried on having descendants and making Abraham a father of many more nations. So in the space of 200 years, we could already account for 4 nations that we can trace in scriptures: the Ishmaelites, the Edomites, the Israelites, and the Midianites. I'm sure there may be others, but these are the only ones I can see. Now, lastly, we as Christians will consider ourselves to be children of Abraham by faith. And we have Christians all over the world, all the nations of the world. Can we then say that Abraham is also the father of those people? I think we can, because every Christian would want an association with or claims an association with Abraham as being their father by faith. So I'm just going back now to something else that God said to Abraham in chapter 15. God took him out and said, "Look in the skies and see if you can number the stars." And he said to him, "So shall your descendants be." And I'm just thinking that when the Israelites left Egypt, it says in Exodus chapter 12, verse 37, that there were 600,000 men beside children. Just men was over 500,000. So if we put the women and the children into the equation, you're going to have over 1 million people. And they were also already a nation by then, the Israelites. So count the number. The number of the people that we already know are established nations: the Ishmaelites, the Midianites, the Edomites as well. I don't think we could have easily numbered them. Again, confirming what God told Abraham. So I have a question for you. Do you think that God fulfilled his promise to Abraham? I think he did. And if this is the same God that we serve, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I think he has shown us that he's got a good track record for fulfilling his promises. So we can trust him. If we have a promise from him, we can depend on him that he will bring it to pass. So I say to you then that he has proved that he's got this character of being faithful, so we can trust in him. Therefore, I say unto you, carry on trusting in God. Trust that promise he will bring to pass. And so until next time, search your scriptures for those promises and for the nuggets, and God bless.